Welcome back. In this third video, I'm going to talk about what to do with all the data that the Listen software has captured using our keyword Starbucks in the early monitor runs that we set up. This is actually my favorite part in using the Listen software because it never ceases to amaze me how much I learn in such a short period of time, literally about anything that I listen to. So let's take a look at our monitors up close. We have our Starbucks all minus the web, which I did take the time in deleting posts and ultimately keeping and approving 504 posts. We have our Starbucks Yelp, 93 pending posts there. We have Google Plus, 331, our Twitter, and our Facebook. All in all, our Listen software using these sources captured a little over 1,100 posts to review. And then I ultimately kept 504 of them. You'll find that you can review about 10 to 15 posts every 10 minutes. And I know if you just did the math, getting rid of 600 posts and reviewing 10 to 15 posts, this literally only took me 25 minutes to do. Because every once in a while when you're doing some runs using your Google Plus or Facebook, you're going to have certain posts that aren't going to be talking about Starbucks. And we've implemented some tools in there to get rid of these posts very quickly. Because sometimes you're going to have the word Starbucks not in the text but in the author's name. So if they're not going to talk about Starbucks, you might not want to include them in your future monitor runs. So we'll review all of that in greater detail shortly. So let's take a look at our Yelp. We're going to click on that 93 and we're going to go into our pending results page. Right in the middle you have your post text. You got our keyword Starbucks highlighted in green when possible. We also have our post date, which you can sort. We also have our author name. Yelp doesn't use authors, but the authors would be right there. We have our sentiment. And we have our source for our symbol. And then we're having the ability to delete this post, or you can approve the post. You can also do multiple deletions or approvals by clicking this box and clicking approve selected or delete selected. Once you're through pretty much getting rid of all the posts that you no longer wish to keep, then you would be clicking approve all. And you would be deleting all. That's if you're using a monitor run that's running more than once. So say on a daily basis, you're getting data coming in on a daily basis. So you're going to have results sitting in your pending column as well as your approval column. And one shortcut, by the way, is this button up here, going back and forth from those results, as opposed to going up to your manage monitors and going back to the main page. Here's one simple click. And you can tab back and forth through those pages. I don't have any pending results in this particular case, but you understand what I'm talking about. Let me point out this particular post here. I love you Starbucks, always have and always will in any state, in any town, you are my fave. And our Listen software gave it a 1, a neutral rating. Normally I think if you're going to love anything, that's a positive statement, not neutral. So if you hover over that number, you can request an adjustment, which would take up to 2 business days to be adjusted. And then we also have some users will have the ability to change their sentiment on their own. So we have a sliding scale, which you can ultimately change that and then save it. That will help our Listen software get smarter and smarter, because as these search engines update themselves as well as changing algorithms and just in general the English language, the computer sometimes won't really understand and give that proper sentiment. So certainly appreciate you helping us getting it smarter and smarter. So Yelp is very straightforward. It's very location orientated. I got a chance to read about all the local Starbucks in the Tampa Bay area, which got a pretty decent rating overall. I also got a chance, because Starbucks was being compared to some of their competitors, I read about other coffee companies and tea organizations that were locally also in the Tampa area, which was certainly interesting reading. We also have our Starbucks Google Plus, so we'll go into there, 331. Anytime I have this many posts to review, the first thing I do is I click the author. So I start sorting everything and they start bunching everything up. I also go, secondly, to this last page. I like working from the back forward, so just in case I don't finish these results and deleting the ones I wish to delete, it's harder if you start from the front to remember where you left off. So it's much easier if you just work from the back forward. So we have this particular text that doesn't have any of our keywords mentioning. They're not mentioning, they're talking about everything else other than Starbucks. So what we can do with this Starbucks lover 123, and that's the reason why I got pulled, is because the word Starbucks is in the author's name. So you can hover over it, you can see the user's name, but you can also right click and delete all the posts by this author. What will also happen it will be automatically added to your terms to exclude. So on future monitor runs, if they're not going to talk about Starbucks, you won't have to worry about having the listen software being pulled. So you'll continue to do that to your Starbucks and working yourself down the page, and then you'll be moving to your page 3 and continuing to curate that data. Another thing about Google Plus, that if you're finding you're getting some data back that doesn't talk about Starbucks, they're talking about everything else other than Starbucks, it's most likely this person worked for Starbucks. Because if you're going to post on Google Plus, you have to complete a profile. And if you mentioned in your profile that you worked for Starbucks, well, the listen software is most likely going to be pulling that data. So one way around that, or something to consider when you're going to be using Google Plus, is entering the word worked into the terms to exclude. So even though I'll initially be triggered, it won't be pulled into the system because we've excluded the term worked. So it will eliminate that post before it gets into our system. So let's go into Starbucks Twitter. It's kind of like Yelp, very straightforward. Of course, you have your post text, but another cool thing about Starbucks, and also Twitter, is you can post pictures and videos, so you'll get a chance to see what's going on here. Like, you're going to see Britney Spears here online for Starbucks. I'm assuming getting some lunch. You can see what I'm talking about there. All right, so we'll go back up, and so Twitter's pretty straightforward. I usually keep a lot of my data when it comes to Twitter. And then we'll go to Starbucks Facebook. 574 posts. Obviously, the first thing you're going to do, you're going to sort it by author, and you're going to work your way back from the last page forward, and then just continue to move yourself forward. Another thing about Facebook, and Google is also guilty of, is that they don't search literally. And what I mean by that, it was easier using the Starbucks because it had one word, but if you ever Google your name, and so, because initially when those results come back, I'll see all the Donna Jenkins getting pulled. But then further down the page, I'm going to see all the Jenkins getting pulled, and then all the Donnas. So even though they're going to give me all the Donna Jenkins, but I'm going to get all the Jenkins and all the Donnas as well. And that's what's going to happen when we're using the search engines with Facebook and Google+, just to keep in mind. But again, that's why we have those tools implemented to really dramatically shorten the amount of time that you're using for curation. So I'd like to wrap up this video by suggesting you really should give some thought in using your keywords. Of course, start out very broad, but then think outside the box and be creative. Your future monitor runs will become more refined as you learn, and you'll pick up new trends to listen to. You'll discover new insights and angles to help your business. So please join me for my next video, where I'll be showing you what our view results section is going to say about our approved results from our Starbucks monitor. I hope you found this video helpful. Thanks for listening.